Your body can feel fine, but your mind is dragging. Overthinking is like running a race that never ends, a marathon with no crowd, no water breaks, no finish line. You close your eyes at night expecting rest, but your mind doesn't cooperate. Instead, it loops, over and over again. You wake up more exhausted than when you went to sleep, because even in sleep, your thoughts don't fully shut off. They simmer, waiting for the silence to return so they can shout again. There's a kind of fatigue that doesn't show up in your face or your posture. It's in your eyes, in the way you pause before answering, in the way your smile flickers just a second too short. This is silent exhaustion, the kind that comes not from doing, but from thinking, from constantly assessing everything, questioning your own actions, dissecting every word you've spoken, as if rewriting it in your mind could change the past. But it never does. And so, you learn to cope not by resting but by escaping. Distraction becomes your survival. Music helps. A show you've already watched 10 times helps. Scrolling endlessly, snacking without hunger, engaging in conversations you're barely present for. It all helps. Not because it brings joy, but because it quiets the mental noise for a few seconds at a time. You don't want to think, but your mind has its own momentum, and when the distractions end, the thoughts come rushing back, often louder than before. You smile, not because you're happy, but because you know that's what's expected. People see the smile and assume you're fine. They don't notice that your brain is running through every possible interpretation of a glance, a tone, a pause in conversation. Did they look away because they're bored? Did you say something wrong? Were you too quiet or too much? You don't want to care, but you do. Not out of insecurity, but out of habit. The habit of monitoring everything, including yourself. This noise lives in the background of everything. You can be out with friends, laughing, talking, even enjoying yourself on some level. But deep in your mind, you're dissecting the moment as it happens, wondering if you're being annoying, if they really like you, if you were only invited out of obligation. The noise never stops. It just hides behind the laughter. Overthinking is invisible, but it's loud. It turns simple moments into internal investigations. It isolates you even in company. It convinces you to replay things that no one else remembers, to worry about scenarios that will never happen, to prepare for rejection in places where there's only acceptance. And perhaps the hardest part is knowing how invisible it all is. People look at you and see someone quiet, maybe even wise. They don't see how loud your thoughts are. They don't see the effort it takes to hold it all in, to appear calm when inside you're anything but. Even when you're doing nothing, you're doing everything internally. You're calculating, analyzing, regretting, rewriting. You're mentally exhausted, but you don't show it. You don't have a cast or a fever. You just have tired eyes and a brain that never stops moving. And that's the secret part of overthinking, the weight it adds to your day, the energy it quietly steals, and the silence in which it hides. You're tired, but no one knows why. You've become an expert at appearing fine. But underneath it all, you're carrying noise that never shuts off, and the loneliness of a struggle no one can see. You reread texts, not just once or twice, but until the words lose their meaning. You scan every sentence for signs. Was that period too cold? Was that emoji sarcastic? You analyze tone like a scientist, looking for something between the lines. You draft responses, delete them, rewrite them again. You sit with your thumb hovering over send, unsure if the message sounds too eager or too detached. Then you send it, and the waiting begins. Did they read it too quickly? Did they take too long to respond? Are they ignoring you? Are they okay? Are you okay? You rehearse conversations like scenes from a play. Before they happen, you map out what you'll say. You anticipate reactions. You think of jokes, of ways to sound more confident, more likable. And when the real conversation ends, it doesn't actually end. You go over it in your mind, picking apart your words, your tone, their pauses, their facial expressions. You replay it with different lines, different responses. A better version of you, one who said all the right things, asked the right questions, read the room perfectly. It never happened that way, but it feels real in your head. You hold on to things that most people forget. A stray comment from 2 months ago. A glance that didn't feel quite right. A small moment that keeps echoing because your brain won't file it away. It doesn't matter how minor it seemed. Your mind keeps it in a loop, convinced there's something important there, some lesson or warning that you missed the first time. People say you're sensitive, but it's not about emotions, it's about memory. It's about how your brain grabs onto something and refuses to let go. Overthinking isn't just a personality trait. It's a full-time habit. A lens you don't realize you're looking through until it distorts everything. It's not something you switch on. It's something that's always running in the background. You might look calm, composed, even distracted, but inside, your mind is racing. It's dissecting, evaluating, reevaluating, preparing for scenarios that haven't even happened yet. You're not overreacting, you're overprocessing. It doesn't look chaotic from the outside. In fact, it looks like you're focused, quiet, maybe even at peace. But it's not peace. It's a storm behind still eyes. It's trying to avoid mistakes before they happen. It's fear of being misunderstood, fear of coming across the wrong way, fear of making someone uncomfortable, fear of being too much, fear of being invisible, fear of all the things you've been told not to worry about but still do. The hardest part isn't just the thinking. It's the thinking about the thinking. You catch yourself spiraling and wonder why you can't stop. Why can't you just move on? Why do you care so much about what was said or what wasn't? You question your own thoughts like they're intruders. You wonder if you're broken, if everyone else has a quiet brain and you're the only one running this internal marathon. You carry it all silently. No one sees the number of thoughts between your pauses, the calculations between your words, the hours you spend editing a simple reply or replaying a 5-minute conversation from days ago. You move through the world like everyone else, but your mind is never still. And because it's invisible, people assume it's not there. But it is. Every moment, every interaction, every silence. You think too much. And then you think about why you think too much. You call it normal, because it's been like this for as long as you can remember. The constant thinking, the analyzing, the never-ending loops in your mind. It's become part of your daily rhythm. So much so that you barely notice it anymore. You assume everyone does this too, that everyone lies awake at night picking apart conversations, or plays out future disasters in their mind just in case. But then you notice how easily others move on. How they laugh without hesitation. How they sleep without the weight of their own thoughts pressing down on them. And you wonder how they do it. How they just let things go. Sometimes you envy that ease, the lightness, the freedom from constantly checking, wondering, regretting. You see someone shrug off a mistake and genuinely forget it, while you're still dissecting something that happened months ago. Feels like a different world, a different brain, one you'll never quite inhabit. But maybe, just maybe, this isn't something to hate. Maybe the overthinking comes from something tender inside you. Maybe it's not a defect, it's a depth. You care. You notice things others don't. You want to understand people, understand moments, understand yourself. You ask more questions, dig a little deeper. You don't just experience life, you examine it. And that awareness, that empathy, that intense desire to get it right, that's not weakness. That's sensitivity. That's intelligence. That's you. Still, that doesn't mean you don't deserve rest. Just because your mind is capable of carrying so much doesn't mean it always has to. You deserve peace too. You deserve to feel what it's like to live without always monitoring, always editing, always thinking 10 steps ahead. You deserve to exhale without guilt, to pause without apology, to be still even when the world keeps spinning. Maybe that starts with one simple act. Not fighting your thoughts. When they come at night, when the past creeps in, when the what-ifs start piling up, what if you didn't wrestle with them? What if you just watched them like clouds drifting across a sky? Let them come, let them go. No judgment, no story, just motion. Because you are not your thoughts. You are the space they pass through. You are not the storm, you are the sky. The thoughts are temporary. You are constant. You are more than the noise. You are the calm beneath it. And maybe that's what healing looks like. Not silencing your thoughts completely, but softening around them. Not needing to analyze everything right now. Trusting that some things can be left alone. Some questions don't need answers. Some memories don't need rewrites. Some moments are allowed to pass. So tonight, when it all comes rushing back, when your brain wants to replay, reframe, and rehearse, let it, but do so gently. Don't grab on. Don't resist. Just breathe. Feel your breath go in. Feel it go out. Anchor yourself in that simple rhythm. Because your breath is real. Your breath is now. Everything else is just noise passing through. Maybe it's time to stop fixing yourself and start understanding yourself. Maybe it's time to see the beauty in how deeply you feel, how much you care, but also to give yourself permission to rest. You don't have to solve everything. Not tonight. Maybe it's okay to just be. So pause. In this moment. Not forever. Just now. Breathe in. Breathe out. You made it through the day. That's enough.